Have you ever even remotely considered creating your own YouTube videos and becoming a content creator? Creating content on YouTube isn't a mythical ability that requires expensive equipment, amazing public speaking skills, and a huge following before you've even made your first video. Instead, we go through a process and it's slow, and we make mistakes along the way as we hone our skills on the subscribe button. You don't even have to fit into a specific outgoing personality type. I myself have always been something of an introvert, and I am certainly not the type to volunteer to get up on stage. And yet, here I am, approximately 6 months later, with approximately 345 subscribers. I'm producing multiple videos per week, whereby I speak over the microphone to dozens, if not hundreds of people, depending on the success of that particular video. So where am I going with this video? Well, in a previous video last week, I suggested that anyone can become a content creator, whether that be for Eve Echoes or for another game or subject. And in this video, I'll be arming you with the basics that you need to produce your own content, alongside some important tips that I've picked up along the way. Of course, in this video, I will be assuming that you'll be interested in adding your own commentary to your content. So, what do you need? First and foremost, when creating your own content, you need the ability to record your own voice and to capture the gameplay footage. The microphones that are built into modern smartphones are of outstanding quality nowadays, and there is no real reason why you should feel the need to invest in a more professional microphone until you're absolutely committed to making your content. All you need to do is install an application of your choice that allows you to record and save your voice. Don't worry about setting up a webcam at this stage and record video footage of yourself. This is entirely optional, and many successful creators simply opt out of including footage of themselves. Hell, 6 months in, and I myself have only just started working on a webcam setup and haven't actually broadcast my own face. Then of course we need gameplay footage. A large number of devices nowadays comes with built-in video capture software, and for those that don't, there are plenty of options to choose from in their respective app stores. I personally use an application called X Recorder, and on my trusty old Pixel 2, which, like many, has the ability to record in-game footage and spoken audio from the microphone simultaneously. When I first used this application, I used it as a free option with the watermark, and I later upgraded to the paid version when I was certain I was going to be getting a lot more use out of it. It is worth noting, however, that you'll need headphones for the in-game audio, specifically to prevent feedback into the nearby microphone. I've made this mistake a couple of times, and it can severely impact the quality of your voice recording. As Captain Benzie has proved for a number of years prior to his departure, not only can the recording be solely performed on your smartphone, but so can the video editing. That said, however, if you do decide to do a more complex video editing, you will be better served using a video editor on a computer. The computer doesn't have to have the most powerful specs available, and I personally get by with a Steam Deck, which is comparable to a laptop with regards to its raw performance. As for what video editor you should be using, there are plenty of options out there, including free open source editors. I opted personally to go with Shotcut as my editor, which was heavily influenced by the fact that I'm using a Steam Deck which runs off Linux for my editing, and not a computer that was running by Windows. So the last component of the video creating process is creating the thumbnail. There are a number of mobile applications that will support you in creating your first thumbnails. Alternatively, you can use applications such as GIMP or Photoshop to create your thumbnails on a computer. YouTube will automatically harvest free frames from your video as thumbnail suggestions, but you can alternatively create your own from scratch with the resolution of 1280p by 720. Don't worry if your first thumbnail doesn't look absolutely amazing and click-worthy. It's an art form that takes its own time for you to get comfortable with. So moving back onto hardware, if you want to dabble without really investing, all you really need is a smartphone and a pair of headphones. And the odds are that you already have both. If you already have a computer or laptop, then the odds are, unless it is incredibly old, and I mean incredibly old, that you can utilise it to support your video creating process. So next up, we've talked about your computer, the hardware, the software, your phone, etc. Let's talk about you. So far, we've spoken about what you need to create the videos, but we haven't spoken about you yet. The first hurdle for many is the equivalent of stage fright, and this is what put me off creating videos for a long time before I even started. But when I did start recording videos, I found the best practice was for me to speak to the microphone exactly how I would talk to people down at the pub. It worked at the time until I got more used to talking to the microphone, and now it mostly comes naturally. Granted, I still need to work on my style, but one step at a time. That bit will come later. So we've talked, wow, okay, we'll keep that little mistake in, just for joy. So we've got you talking. Excellent, that's one step in the right direction. But now you're listening and recording and probably cringing a bit, right? The question is, why are you cringing? What makes your video so hard to listen to? There is an answer to this, and it's probably not you hating the sound of your own voice, although that is perfectly normal, and even to this day I hate the sound of my own voice. In everyday conversations, there are these things called filler words. From our school years and even earlier, we were programmed to always say something when we were spoken to, even when we hadn't even figured out what we were going to say yet. The results of this are the words like, so, yeah, so, and so many more. We use these all the time. Public speakers are trained to consciously avoid using these words and to instead prefer silence. There's nothing like saying twice in every sentence if you want your audience to click away due to a lack of perceived confidence. Notice how I said perceived here. This is because you could be the most confident person in the world, but your speech needs to convey that still. So how do we tackle these filler words and convey our confidence to the viewer? Well, after years of programming, there is no quick solution to get you to stop using those filler words, but there are tricks that can be used to greatly cut down on the number of occurrences those words will get in your videos. The first solution, and this tends to be my most common solution at the moment, is by writing a script. Yeah, a script. There's a reason why newsreaders, politicians, and other public speakers read from teleprompters instead of either memorising their lines or winging it on the spot. Every time you pause to think, there is a risk of you using a filler word. I personally find writing scripts to be incredibly useful for tutorial videos and especially long videos like this, as not only does it ensure that the use of filler words is minimal, but it helps me ensure that there is nothing I missed in this video. But maybe script writing sounds a bit too daunting of a task, and you don't want your content to be so structured, instead going for a more free-flowing approach, such as my ramble videos. And this is where the next trick comes in. Just bullet points. Yeah, just bullet points. Write down your talking points before you hit the record button, and refer to them every time you pause to identify what to say next. Now, maybe you're not working off of a script, and the bullet points aren't helping enough with your pausing for thought. Okay, that's fine. Just don't say anything. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out here. Instead of saying filler words like whenever you need to pause, just don't say anything. Just pause and think and revel in the silence. When you come back to edit your recording later, those pauses will stand out like a Christmas tree in the editor. You will have no difficulty finding them. whereas all of those filler words will be just buried in the recording, and you will have to listen to the entire recording from start to finish to identify the location of each filler word should you decide to remove them. Whereas with the gaps in your speech, all you have to do is just look at the recording, look for the big open gaps, and just trim them down a little bit. It's a lot quicker and easier, and it will save you a lot of time. So next up we have noises. You're perfectly comfortable recording your audio, but on playback you're getting sounds or noises that you didn't expect to hear. Maybe it's a persistent buzz from your microphone, or an annoying popping noise that your lips make when they part. Something you were never even aware of previously. The first solution here is to see if your recording software has a noise filter or noise gate. Me personally, on OBS, I use both of these options. These aren't going to make your spoken audio perfect, but they will help eliminate most of those noises from your recording. For me, it also prevents the microphone from recording conversations in adjacent rooms, so that's a win-win for me. And the last trick that I use, and this is a very obvious one, is to eliminate these noises with background audio. Just throw in some background audio, typically from the game itself. Do try to avoid using copyrighted music or outright, as it may cause issues for your channel in the future, and YouTube is very, very good at identifying copyrighted works. It doesn't matter how quiet you set it, and if you put another layer of background noise on top of it, YouTube will detect it, and yeah, it's just something that you don't want in the long term. If you're feeling particularly creative though, you can even compose your own background audio. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or sophisticated for it to do its job. That said, if there is no background noises to cover up, then background music is entirely optional. And going into this at the very beginning, I wouldn't recommend composing your own music, unless of course you're already familiar with composing your own music, because it is quite a daunting task and you have to learn a whole bunch more just to be able to get something audible out. I know that from experience because I actually tried making my own track, only did the one. It didn't really vibe with me, that whole process, but I tried it. And that about sums up most of what I've learned about content creation so far in my time covering Eve Echoes, and I'm sure the next time I do a video like this, I'll have even more tips as I continue to learn and improve on the quality of my content. If you have any questions whatsoever, okay, I'm not even sure if that's a saying, but if you have any questions about how you can get started as a content creator, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. And with that, before I completely lose my voice, fly safe in New Eden. Wait, no, actually, not fly safe in New Eden, that's somebody else's. Fly casual in New Eden. There we go, that's the one. See ya.